Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me to visit a location today that some of you might recognize. Behind me is a private car collection in the most fantastic of garages, and we're going to be exploring and taking a look around. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know that I love to visit personal and incredible car collections all around the world, and during my tour here in the USA so far, I've been spoilt to see some amazing things. This though takes me back to before I even started my YouTube channel. Let me explain and then we'll head in to explore. As you can tell, it's the evening and the light is quickly going down, so in a moment we'll be checking out the collection behind me, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about it first. So going back around about a decade, in fact I uploaded my first video to the channel about 9.5 years ago, but I've always been intrigued in car collections, how people would choose what cars to buy, where they would keep them and store them, how they would display them. Now back then, social media wasn't really a thing. There were some YouTube videos out there, but there weren't owners posting pictures on Instagram and sharing these kind of things daily. There was, however, one set of images that showcased this collection and this location we're visiting today. In fact, there were photos from this very driveway. The cars inside, you'll see the Speciale Aperta sitting there on the turntable, and some of the others as well. Fast forward a little bit though, I find myself here visiting this incredibly special collection. So let's head on in then to go and explore and take a look around. And just wait until you can see all of the cars. You will spot the F40 and the Diablo, but right around the corner, have a look at that. What an amazing lineup, and there are more parked behind that I'm going to be sharing with you very shortly. But the idea here is that the cars can drive in. We are of course underneath the house. They come down this driveway, come inside, and can be rotated on the turntable to be parked up inside in this lovely space, currently loaded with some absolutely fantastic cars. Now, what is the favourite? That's almost impossible. We've got the Speciale Aperta, we've got the F40, we've actually got two 512 BBs currently. We've got a Diablo, we've got a 1969 Excalibur, we've got a Ford GT, 599 GTO, Maserati Mc12, one of only 50. But keep coming through, have a look at these. We've got a Carrera GT, we've got a Ferrari F12 TDF, the spec of this is insane. And then we've got a silver Ferrari F50. What a thing that is. You will also notice, as I did, that all of the convertibles are parked with their roofs off, and that is because they are basically kept and used and driven, so they're all prepared in a state to be taken out and enjoyed whenever the weather is lovely enough to do so, which right now it absolutely is. And talking about this space, look at the artworks on the walls. You've got pictures of the Enzo, the Dino. There is actually an Enzo also as part of the collection. Looking around, Carrera GT, a 935 Moby Dick. But let's take a look around some of the cars that are currently in here, starting at the very front, the Speciale Aperta. The last, of course, naturally aspirated V8 from Ferrari. The 458 standing for 4.5 litre V8, only 499 units made in total, 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, a car that many hold dear to their heart, as they do that car right there, the Ferrari F40. They made just over 1,000 of them in total, and I noticed looking at this a few things specific to it being in the US, slightly extended splitter, also around the rear of it too. If we just take a look towards the left, Corvette C1, that looks very elegant in that colour, I have to say, and you might be wondering why two BBs, two boxers here. Well, one is actually currently in the garage stored for a friend of the owner, as opposed to being part of the collection itself. Continuing around, of course, we've got the Lamborghini Diablo Roadster. This is actually quite interesting to have a look at, the way the roof panel lifts from this position to being sat there on the rear deck. Behind, the 1969 Excalibur, and also the Porsche Targa, stored tucked away. The garage was originally intended to house some of the older Porsches, not so much the gigantic, more modern supercars like the MC12, but this is of course incredibly rare, one of only 50 in total MC12s that were ever built. The launch specification with the pearl white and the blue accents around the lower sections, a gigantic car, the sister car to the Ferrari Enzo, sharing the 6-litre naturally aspirated V12 and the 6-speed automated manual gearbox, F1 gearbox that went with that, but the MC12 having that removable roof panel and also the snorkel there, the intake snorkel just over your head, and making a truly insane sound. Being in one of these when it's being driven is something from another world. What an unreal car to actually experience. Next to that, the 599 GTO, again, a Ferrari naturally aspirated V12. They made 599 units in total. It was the more hardcore version of the 599 GTB. But GTO, 3 very significant letters in Ferrari's history, following from the 250 GTO, the legendary 1960s racer, then the 288 GTO that was originally intended for rallying as well, and then the 599 GTO, the third in the series, you could say. Next to that, the 2004 generation Ford GT, the 100th anniversary celebration of Ford's history that released at the time. They made, I think, about 4,000 Ford GTs in total, but this one in white with the blue stripes is also looking very, very, very lovely. Supercharged V8 makes a thunderous sound. But then let's come through to this trio, the silver trio at the back. And they've actually just been rotated. Those 3 were this row and these 3 were at the back row, but they've all been driven, which is really, really cool. So the F40, the poster car for me, the 4.7 litre V12, naturally aspirated, gated manual gearbox. Always got to come and show you this because it's so unbelievably epic. The roof panel that can be removed. You can either have the hard top panel or there is a soft top panel actually wrapped up inside that bag just behind the seats as well. But this thing, I love how it looks. I love how it behaves to drive. I just think it is one of the most stunning and iconic cars, certainly for my generation. And this one is actually titled in silver, which, given they were basically all made in red, makes it even more special. What a car that actually is to be part of the collection. Next to it, the F12 TDF, technically the follow-on, I think, from the 599 GTO. They made 799 limited series based on the F12 Berlinetta, 780 horsepower, 6.3 litre NAV12. In this case, though, have a look at this almost champagne silver paintwork. You've got the pearlescent champagne colour that comes through it, Ferrari tailor-made as well, with all of the red Alcantara that you see throughout the interior, the black stripes that you have over the exterior, and also some exposed carbon fibre areas around the bodywork too. But that, well, always a stunning and fascinating car, predating the 812, some of those technologies like rear wheel steering, but basically an amazing soundtrack and a fantastic car to drive. A very twitchy car that you need to be alert to drive, but an incredibly impressive one as well. Then next to it, one of my other favourite cars, I think, that I've ever had the opportunity to drive, the Porsche Carrera GT. Naturally aspirated V10, again the manual gearbox, but in this case mounted high here in the central console up in the dashboard. A very, very nice driving experience, a car that you have to be incredibly delicate with, in particular to do with the clutch, but another engine derived from motorsport that just makes the most heavenly of sounds. In fact, that engine and that engine, both motorsport inspired, and cars that just make for a real driving experience, surrounded there as well by different pictures on the walls. And in fact, I noticed a Murcielago, and back in those old pictures, the 2 cars that were here were a yellow Murcielago Roadster and a red Ferrari Enzo. The Enzo is still in the collection. I think the Murcielago said farewell for the arrival maybe of the Diablo. So looking around then, what a place. Let's continue through, take a look at some of these other cars as well, just exploring back here a little bit. And this is what I like. It's a garage that's actually used. Yes, some of the cars may be parked up for longer periods than some of the others, but the way they're all laid out means that they can basically all be taken out and all actually driven and used as was always intended. So over towards this side, we've got the 2 boxes, just to check these out in a little bit more detail. Of course, you've got the pop-up headlights, an era for Ferrari. Again, you've got the gated manual, the dogleg, I think, gearbox that this car has, that iconic style at the back as well, with those engine covers and the upper deck on that too. But all the cars looking pristine, all beautifully displayed, hidden behind this garage door and presented in this incredible way. And like I said, not the entire collection. There are a few other cars that aren't currently here, with the Speciale Aperta being driven, and some more cars that are due to arrive as part of all of this in the not too distant future as well. It is just awesome actually to be here and to see this place myself. I have a big interest in all of this. You'll know that I'm growing my own car collection, but being fortunate enough to visit so many places around the world, to see what makes the owners tick, to see their unique collections of cars, but also of styles of presentation. And everyone is different. But this was one of the first for me that I ever saw, that I first thought, wow, that is cool, that inspired me partly to be into cars as part of, I guess, my growing up and learning about these things and seeing the different cars. And now here I am visiting and being able to share this collection with you as well. Of course, I think my favorite car has to go to that silver F50. I am a big fan of that thing. In fact, an F50 in any color, but a silver one is just the icing on the cake. I think the Maserati Mc12 gets a pretty close second place just because of its sheer presence and what it is, a gigantic car. And this garage was originally intended for classic Porsches, so these cars are so much bigger and take up a lot more space than originally intended. The whole effect though, the whole impression it gives you taking a look around, this place is an absolute dream. So all I can say is a huge thanks to the owner for making it possible to visit, a place that for me stands out so much because I first saw it such a long time ago in this automotive world that I've quickly grown and learnt so much about. Of course, you've seen the videos, you know how much I enjoy visiting these places, collections from Dubai and Abu Dhabi to Mexico to the US to Canada, you name it. I'm trying to cover everything that's about the automotive passion and share all of this with you. So thank you very much for watching as always. I hope you've enjoyed this look. I certainly have myself. What a place, but that is it for this time. I will see you guys again very soon. Cheers.